Welcome to Light Over Heat with Professor David Yamani. I'm at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West in Cody, Wyoming. Yesterday I had a tour of the Cody Firearms Museum with the curator Danny Michael. We spent 2.5 hours in there. We could have spent 2.5 days. So I'm going back in today to record some highlights, and I think I'm going to do about 3 videos on what I've seen in the museum. So come along for the ride. The first thing to observe about this Firearms Museum is that it's part of the Buffalo Bill Center of the West. There's actually 5 museums here. We've got the Draper Natural History Museum, the Buffalo Bill Museum that we just raced through quickly yesterday. It's amazing. I learned a lot more about the reality of Buffalo Bill. But back there is the Plains Indian Museum, and then over this way is the Whitney Western Art Museum. Incredible works, a nice collection, pieces on Yellowstone, which was exciting for us because we came here from Yellowstone. But of course, we were here to see the newly redesigned Cody Firearms Museum, $12 million project headed by Ashley Lubinsky, the former curator, and of course, Danny Michael, the associate curator at the time, and now the head curator. The redesign has really taken note of the fact that they get lots of visitors here to the Buffalo Bill Center, and most of them are really just finding something to do on their way to Yellowstone, including a lot of tour buses. So a minority of the people who come to this facility are interested in firearms, much less being sort of true gun nuts. And so the redesign of the museum really sought to capture that. So we see here the first thing you encounter in the museum is this sort of photo gallery here running from, I assume, Annie Oakley all the way to Chris Chang, who really embodies some of the diversity of contemporary gun culture. And the goal of making this space really accessible is also reinforced by the fact that the first thing that you see as you walk toward really the main entrance to the artifact area is 3 panels here on the right. The first features a belt and holster from Abercrombie and Fitch, which many people will associate with young, partially nude people riding elephants and other weird things like that. Up here next to a rifle stock that was manufactured during World War II by Hillerick in Bradbury, which is part of the Louisville Slugger Empire. Again, trying to make this quite accessible to people who don't have an interest in firearms per se. And then here running into Henry Ford's lever-action rifle, and how Ford really adopted some of the techniques of interchangeable manufacturing of commodities and was interested in firearms manufacturing for that reason. And we know historically that firearms manufacturing had a big role in the development of manufacturing in general. So really we encounter a full array of firearms, not until we get to this point as we enter the first exhibit area. We have this beautiful fan of guns, and we also see here Ashley Lubinsky, the former curator who led this project, introducing us and welcoming us to the museum. So as we come around that wall, that fan of guns, and the welcome video here, we again see there's no assumption that visitors to this museum know firearms. So really talking about different ways that firearms represent tools, and then the different organization of the museum in terms of both chronological but also thematic evolution of firearms in the West, appropriately so, and of course military history, science, art, and the whole massive collection. we come here, again, no assumption that people know how firearms work or what they are, key definitions. And as we look back this way, we again see that beautiful fan of firearms and then the logos representing each of the thematic areas of the museum. First area here, 4 rules of gun safety, and also knowing what to do if you're a child and you encounter firearms. Really important, again, for people who are not gun owners, people who are gun curious, people who are even gun skeptics wanting to know more about guns and how they can be used appropriately and safely. And even here, Guns 101, different types of firearms. And these are actually cutaways so that you can see the inner workings of the different types of firearms here. Of course, learning the difference between a select fire rifle and other types of actions. So I have a chapter of my book in which I talk about how it's possible for someone to become a gun super owner because of the diversity of firearms, from handguns to long guns, rifles versus shotguns, and then different ammunition types, as well as different actions. And this interesting display here highlights 4 major action types, from pump action, lever action, semi-automatic magazine fed, and bolt action. And this is one of the few hands-on aspects of the museum, but it's nice for, again, people who don't know how different firearms work. They can see what a bolt action looks like. Of course, we have the magazine-fed semi-auto. People who've not had an opportunity to wrap the slide can see how that works. Kids apparently love working the lever action, and of course the pump action. This area here is a simulator where people can shoot a stage of the Steel Challenge shooting sport. It's not open right now. They're working on fixing some of the technology, but that's a cool option when it is up and running. And then here, giving people some tips on shooting, including the rules of gun safety, issues of eye dominance, stance, grip, sight. Here highlighting the difference between isosceles and weaver stances. Again, good for novices and newbies alike. And then interesting, Jeff Cooper's 1911 here custom for demonstrating the weaver stance, apparently. So there's certainly no shortage of firearms artifacts in this museum. There's in fact over 4,000 on display, 7,000 in the collection. But I love the fact, for the sake of all of the visitors who are coming here who are not gun people or who are gun curious, that it really introduces firearms in a way that is basic and answers the questions about how do firearms work and what are firearms that a lot of people have. Next video, I will get more into some aspects of the collection that I find particularly interesting.